All right, let's get straight to it. Saffron is hands down one of the most expensive spices in the world. In fact, real saffron can set you back a jaw-dropping $10,000 per kilogram. And guess what? The saffron you have sitting in your kitchen cupboard right now might not even be real. So, what exactly makes this spice so crazy expensive? Let's dive in. Just promise you'll share to others and subscribe to this channel for similar insights. Thank you, and let's go. Saffron is actually the red stigma of a crocus flower, specifically Crocus sativus. Here's the thing. Each tiny crocus bloom has just 3 tiny stigmas. That's it. These fragile strands have to be picked by hand ever so delicately. And the kicker? You need about 150 flowers just to make 1 single gram of saffron. Yep, you heard that right. 150 flowers for 1 gram. There's no fancy machine that can replace the delicate touch needed to harvest these precious threads. It's 100% manual labor, which means it takes a whopping 40 hours to produce just 1 kilogram of top-quality saffron. That's some serious dedication. But that's not where the challenges end. Growing these plants isn't exactly a walk in the park either. The crocus bulbs, or corms if we're being technical, need the perfect conditions to thrive. It's all about getting those flowers to bloom just right. And that depends heavily on how well you care for them, the climate, and, believe it or not, even the timing of rainfall. If it rains right before harvest, you get big, vibrant flowers. But if it's super dry, smaller blooms. It's a delicate balance, handled entirely by hand from planting to picking to processing. Now, here's where things get even crazier. Almost all saffron flowers bloom within a single week each year. That's right. Harvesters have to work fast and pick them at just the right moment, preferably first thing in the morning to keep the quality top-notch. The taste of saffron? That's determined by factors like soil, temperature, and rainfall. And the most coveted saffron? Well, it comes from places like Kashmir, famous for producing some of the finest threads on the planet. But here's the catch. To get the highest grades, half of what you harvest might end up getting tossed. The best saffron is only the very tips of the stigma, pure red with no yellow bits. In Iran, which produces a staggering 90% of the world's saffron, there are 4 quality grades. The lowest, called bunch, includes the entire stigma from the dark red tip to the yellow base. But for the best grades, the yellow parts are snipped away, leaving behind only the rich red strands. That means a kilo of top-tier saffron can contain 450,000 tiny threads, requiring a mind-blowing 150,000 flowers. And to grow those flowers, it takes up an insane amount of land. While an acre might yield 600 kilos of cumin or 350 kilos of nutmeg, that same space will only get you a measly 1.8 kilograms of saffron. No wonder it's so pricey. Despite all this labor and space, the demand for saffron just keeps climbing. Each year, around 200 metric tons of these delicate threads are harvested, which translates to roughly 30 billion flowers. But there's a dark side to all this demand: fake saffron. Yep, there are fraudsters out there peddling corn silks, coconut fibers, and even horsehair dyed to look like saffron. In fact, a whole fake saffron ring was busted in 2019, leading to a 2-year investigation. And get this, back in 2010, Spain exported 190,000 kilos of saffron, even though the country's actual production was only about 1,500 kilos. That's a massive gap. Up to 90% of those exports were suspected to be fraudulent. And while the industry is trying to crack down on this, fake saffron still plagues the market. So what does real saffron taste like, you ask? That's a tricky one to pin down. It's a blend of bitter, sweet, and earthy flavors, unlike anything else. Maybe that's why it's been so prized throughout history. Zeus was said to have slept on beds of saffron, and Cleopatra supposedly bathed in saffron and milk as an ancient beauty ritual. It was even used for a fake tan. Throughout different cultures, saffron was believed to hold magical powers, and during the 14th century, it became insanely popular in Europe when people thought it could cure the plague. But there's a new threat to saffron's future: climate change. In Kashmir, which once flourished with saffron fields, production has been taking a massive hit. Farmers are witnessing a decline in harvests year after year. Compared to when they were kids, what used to take 2 days to harvest can now be done in half an hour due to shrinking yields. The impact is emotional for many, especially in places like Pampur, where saffron cultivation is deeply tied to cultural identity. In just 1 year, between 2017 and 2018, saffron production in Kashmir plummeted by nearly 70%, from 16.5 metric tons to just 5.2 tons. And with climate change causing more frequent droughts, the future of this golden spice is looking uncertain. So next time you sprinkle a little saffron into your dish, remember the story behind those tiny red threads. It's a story of sweat, dedication, history, and now a fight against a changing climate.